We've had a really busy week this week. It's Saturday today. We've been quite fortunate really with the weather. We've had it on our side. So we are just bearing some drains, we're unearthing some drains. In this sandy field that we've got, this is the first field that we're going to be planting leeks with. It's got a patch of peat where the drains are. There's, you know, probably about 6 inches of peat. The water's really just not draining off into the drains. We've been jetting them and nothing's been working.
For context, peat just being basically decomposed vegetation or tree roots. This actually used to all be woodland. As you can see, that just sort of borders the 3 fields. Many years back, this was all taken out and then used to grow veg on. You'll actually be able to see if you come and have a look at it's quite a definitive layer that you'll be able to see. So you've got the topsoil is basically just what we use for growing anything. We don't work at too much of a depth. We only work at maybe just over a foot for potatoes and leeks. And then you've got your layer of sand, which back in many years ago when it was all sort of floodland really, all the water was over this part. That's where your water level would be. So you've got the layer of sand, and then under that you've got where it's all being decomposed, and that's your peat.
How we found the drain is we found out where each individual drain is across the field. You can kind of see which direction that the drains are going to run just off the end of the ditch that the drain runs into. So what we've done there is we've positioned the digger in line with the drain. We've scraped the topsoil back, we've scraped into the sand a bit, and when you do that then you'll see about an 8 to 10 inch darker patch of soil in the sand from where the original drain machine has like filled the soil back in. You can see that it's a different colour. So what we've done then is we've dug down to a certain depth. We've then shoved a podger down into the soil, and we've kind of roughly felt the depth of the drain. And then what you do then is you get the digger, you scrape back a bit more, and you keep going till you get, you know, probably about 6 inches above the drain. Get the spade and just take the soil off, just so that you bare the drain so that you can see the exact depth. Then what you do then is you take a little bit more back, and then we'll leave about an inch to an inch and a half, maybe 2 inch, and then you'll scrape that off then with the spade. You'll do that by hand. So we put the stone on with the trailer, and then as soon as that's been complete, the lads will come in on the diggers, and you just scrape the soil back on top. We've had to make sure that it's been processed and washed. Been told that if it's not washed, then you can essentially like reseal over the top of the drain, whereas when it's nice and clean like that there, when the soil comes on top, you still maintain gaps allowing the water to run through. So this drain here, this is this is the first drain that we started in. This was just on the edge of the wet hole, and if we just show you inside, you can see how sandy it actually is where this drain is. So there's not really any issues with this one at all. The water has been finding its way to the drain quite easily, but we thought we'd just start just on the very edge of the peat and work our way in, just to make sure that it was the same all the way through, that we didn't have any issues. We thought if we're going to do it, let's do it properly. So because this is really sandy land, when they've put the drains in, they haven't had to put any stone on top, because it's like quite self-draining. Obviously they usually put the stone in on a lot heavier ground, like clayey ground. They'll put a lot of stone in so that the water will find the stone and run to the drain quite easily. So what we've done is, when we took the top of the soil off as we were digging, we've just gone down with the spades and we've just took the edge off and trying not to move the drain or, you know, alter the height of the drain, so that we're keeping the flow of water running in the right direction. So we've just skimmed the edge of the soil off with the spades, really trying not to move it at all. And what we're planning to achieve there is, instead of just the holes on the top of the drain, we're trying to just expose either side of the drain as well, so that when we put the stone back on top, and obviously we fill this trench, we're just trying to maximise the amount of water that we can get into that drain. Again, it's not too bad in this one because it is sandy, But if we just show you the different soil type in the next drain along, yeah, you'll see why the issue is what we're having. Like the ground here where that drain is, how much harder the soil is here. You know, it's rock hard underneath. You've got this like solid layer of like peaty soil, compared to like one drain over. So you're about 5 foot that way, 7 foot, sorry, that way, and you're into nice dry sand. And then here we've got this like really nasty, like wet. It's all that soaking wet. When you squeeze that, you can almost see the water. Can you see the water coming in my hands? See it all here, all the water that's coming out of it. So that's just holding water and nothing's getting to the drain. So by putting this stone in, we're hoping get the mix of sandy soil back on top. We're hoping that the field will drain much better. So this is the 80mm drain pipe that we've got. So if you don't know how this works already, essentially you put that in the ground, and then all these slats here, where the water drains through into the pipe. That's all the way around, as you can see, all the way up. So the water will just, you know, sieve down through the soil, kind of comes through like a V, find its way down into the drain, and then it finds its way into these slats, and then obviously the fall on the drain will run it straight out into the ditch. As you can see, this is a 5-man job.
It does require many hands and pockets.
I bet they're warm. I bet they're warm in that nice yellow jacket there. Supervisor. I'll tell you what I'm wearing. Malbro merch. Get on the website, malbromerch.store. Head over there, we've got bottle hats, polos, t-shirts, jumpers, relays, bags, umbrellas, anything you need. Get over and have a little look. What do you reckon? Anything else?
If there's anything on there that you do want and there's not on there, drop me a message. Sort it out. Budgie smugglers, sombreros, sunglasses, coffee cups, whatever you want.
So this is when been digging with the digger. Obviously, what I was saying before about trying to get about 1 inch roughly above the drain with the digger. Sometimes it can just be a little bit difficult, you know, you do catch your drains here and there. So unfortunately that's just what's happened here. There's been a couple of instances over this project where we have caught the drains a couple of times, but we haven't got any couplings that you can buy, so I'm just going to have to put a piece of pipe in and we'll make our own. Hate doing these, I hate it. Them couplings are so nice and easy, but by the time I've gone to the shop and messed about, I just put one in. Obviously you've got the holes on the top where the water's running through. Over a period of time, as the water runs through, it will carry a bit of soil through the holes into it, and what that means then is it stops the water from running down the drain. So what we have to do then is you come with a drain jetter machine and you run the drain jetter up, blasting that soil out, cleaning the drain, essentially like power washing the inside of the drain, which then allows the water to run again. These drains, I think they were jetted last year. I can't be 100% certain, but I think they were jetted last year. But if I just lift it up a little bit and we look inside it, you'll see all the soil sat on the bottom. See all that? Just sat on the bottom. Obviously that is stopping the water from flowing down. That's why it's important to keep jetting every year. Make sure you're cleaning them out, allowing the water to make its way to the ditch. Make a bit of a hard standing for it to sit on there. And then I'm gonna just get this roughly somewhat level. And then I'm gonna put a piece of this in. So I'm just gonna measure it there. Now, like I said, it would be ideal if I had some of the couplings that you can get, but unfortunately we've used the last. I'll do, and then I have to just cut that in half again. Someone, drain jetting men out there, might have a better way of doing this. Unfortunately, I'm not an expert in this. I'm just gonna kind of go with what I think is gonna work. Shame really, because this pipe is the exact same diameter as that one. If I had a slightly larger pipe, I could make it much easier. But all I'm going to do is I'm just going to stretch that so it's over that pipe. If it plays, stop playing hard to get. Like that. So I'm going to do that twice. Try and not cut my finger off in the process. Just take that out there. I think a little bit of soil's just got on underneath it. I'm going to get another piece now, just cut over the top, and we'll just clip it over that top section there. It looks to me like from the inside they're touching all right. So I'll put the last one on now, squeeze it over the top, just press it down, just over the top side of the joint. Just put a little bit of sand on top, just again stop it moving when we're throwing the stone on, and that's that part repaired. What I'll do is I'll leave them there so that when someone subsoils it, they'll think they've ripped the drain up. So just going back to the couplings that you can use. Obviously someone's ran this one over, but that would just be one nice circle like that, and it's got like grip sections either end. I don't know if you can just see them little slats there, and they're just like folded in ever so slightly. So obviously the pipe's ribbed, so what you'd do there is you'd cut it back roughly what that distance is there to make sure you've got enough to grip. You'd push the coupling, obviously this would be a perfect circle, you'd push the coupling onto the first rib, the little clasps there would grip this section of pipe, you'd lift that up and you'd shove the other end in there, and that'd just create your join. Really nice and easy. Right, so we've just had a price on this. Let's have some guesses in the comments actually. Can someone in the comment give us an estimate guess for what from there, no, from there to there means, sorry. Can somebody give us a price in the comments for that section of pipe and that nozzle? Closest guess wins a free bobble hat. There we go. So that's the end of your drain there. Obviously it'll have a flow on it running this way into the ditch, because this is where all the water's going to go into. To level it, obviously it'll be ever so slightly higher at that end of the field, just so that the water can naturally run this way. So all your soil obviously will be gathered into that drain all the way down the field, runs out into the ditch, and then once a year we'll come along, we'll mow the ditches, just to obviously expose the pipe again, because all the obviously the growth down the side of the ditch obviously will get to a point where you can't see it. So we'll come in, you mow it, we'll what we call slob the ditches out, so you take out all the soil that's gathered up there throughout that year of soil of water running into the ditch, because obviously as it's travelling it will be bringing soil with it down the drain into the ditch, so that gathers up over the year. So what we do is we go around, we just with the digger we take that bit of slop out, put that back on the field, which will then just get cultivated back in. So obviously once we've slobbed the ditches out, then what we'll do is we'll come in with the drain jetter. So we'll put a ladder in, we'll climb down, we'll put the filter into the water that's already in the ditch. We'll set the pump going on the drain jetter, that'll create the pressure. You then shove the pipe, the hose up the pipe, and then you send it out at a certain speed, cleaning the drain, and then as you pull it back, it essentially like power washes the inside of the drain, and then that gives it a good chance to capture all the water over that year, and then same again the following year. It's important just to make sure that obviously we try and do it as much as physically possible, just to try and, you know, reduce how much water is sat on fields. You know, some fields you can't help it, you've got harder ground and softer ground, and you know, if you get some hard patches it might sit you know, worse than others. But yeah, we just try and maintain it as much as physically possible to make sure that when we are planting, you know, we're not losing any acreage in the field, especially for renting land, because obviously we don't want to be renting land, and if there's any wet spots in there, we don't want to be, you know, causing any damage to the field when we're trying to harvest, making a mess. We want to really reduce that, the amount of mess that you could potentially create. And also we don't want to lose any of the leeks that we've already planted, because if you're planting in the dry months, like, you know, May, June, July, but you're harvesting over Christmas and it comes wet, you could potentially lose quite a fair acreage of your crop, like we have already experienced. Learned the hard way. So what we're potentially thinking of doing, weather dependent, next week, we'll drag some of that back about 2 or 3 metres in off the edge of the ditch, which will then give us quite a bit more soil, because we still do have a little bit of a dip here in the field. We'll come in with the levelling box and the crawler, and we'll drag that in, and it's on a laser, so it'll level the field out nice and smooth, ready for planting next week. So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy it. Look forward to the next one.